All right, friends, Peggy Hall back with you from thehealthyamerican.org. It's Monday and I'm streaming live. It's July 28th and it is 2025. And we are talking about whether or not vaccine companies are going to be held liable for all of their harms. Now, there is some good news, believe it or not, in Washington, D.C., and that is about bills that are being introduced into the Congress in order to actually finally remove the shield, the liability shield for these vaccine manufacturers. So we are going to be taking a look in the video in my broadcast here to a couple of things. Let me share my screen. We're going to be looking at this House bill that was introduced, and this is 4668. I will have an action step for you at the end of the video. Yes, I know, I totally understand. Many of you believe, and as I have experienced, that very often our voices go unheard. But I still think that it's important to take action. So what I'm going to share with you after I bring you a message from the sponsor is I'm going to share with you a really great newsletter that comes from a Healthy American. I've mentioned her before because she has a blog called kindness and kindness and here it is, kindness and science in action. I'm going to share that with you in just a moment because she has summarized what's going on in such a great way. She's a writer. She is kind of a Hollywood insider that has broken free from all of that. So she really knows what is going on. And she has been an advocate not only for our health, but to keep animals healthy and free as well. So I'm going to share with you another couple of action steps related to animals at the end of the video. So many of you spoke out favorably with the information that I was bringing you, the coverage about keeping your pets safe and healthy and not having them become canine and feline and equine pincushions. And I've got plenty of resources for you on that. I've got my little Sandy here digging a little nest. And there she is. Can we see her? There she is, Sandy. There she is. Oh my gosh, I have some funny little clips to share with you about Sandy and Tab Tab Tesoro. That would be for another video. Let's do this. I want to find out from you if you know someone that has been harmed by these products. Hopefully, it's no one in your family. Sadly, there are many people that I hear from that do have loved ones that didn't heed the call to keep themselves safe, and they went ahead and participated in these cocktails. And I think more tragic still are the parents that were coerced and cornered and intimidated, or simply they didn't have the information. They thought they were doing the right thing when the man in the white coat pinned their baby down and jabbed them with the necessary and unnecessary products. All of them are unnecessary. So let me know if you have any personal stories about that. And what I want to share with you is a word from a brand new sponsor. I'm grateful to my sponsors. And actually, I want to get the link up here for you because it's important for you to find. And that is going to be bloodflow7, yes.com/Peggy. So I checked this out, and I know that many of you, most of you, I think all of us, do not want to go the way of mainstream medicine to feel better. So if you have been feeling tired or sluggish or foggy, then it could be poor blood flow. And that's what this formula here is all about. So I want to share with you some information, and then you can see actually what is in it. It's all natural, and this is called Blood Flow 7 by Juvenon, and it's scientifically designed to support healthy circulation. So you feel energized, you feel clear-headed, and vibrant again. So it's packed with natural ingredients, as I say, and here is the label. So it's called nitrosigine, and this is basically an amino acid, and it's called arginine silicata, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And then there is another blend of green coffee bean extract and green tea leaf extract. There is resveratrol and black pepper fruit extract. And that has been making the headlines favorably because it is supposed to help your body actually absorb these nutrients better. So let me share with you the message that I have. So this is the product, and it works by boosting the nitric oxide levels. And that's a molecule that relaxes your blood vessels and it helps your blood flow freely to every corner of your body. Now, of course, I'm not a doctor, I'm not giving any medical advice, but if you know someone that is having difficulty in this area, perhaps because of a protocol that they undertook, then this may be something that they want to check into. So, with this, the idea is that you're going to have more oxygen and nutrients to your brain, your heart, your muscles, and even places that need a little extra help as you age. I understand about that. So, with just one dose a day, you can reclaim your stamina, you can support your heart health and improve your overall vitality without the, endless cups of coffee and other kinds of stimulants. So try this Blood Flow 7 and feel the difference where it matters most, which is literally inside your veins. I'll have a link for you in the description box below. It is bloodflow7.com/Peggy, and that's where you can learn more. See if this is a good fit for you. Friends, we are talking about, will these vaccine manufacturers finally be held liable for the harms? Now, let me just set the picture here for those who may be new to my channel. I've been helping people stand up against government tyranny and oppression since 2020. Prior to that, I did it behind the scenes. I didn't have my YouTube channel, but I did a lot of fighting at the county level, at the city level, at the state level, even, yes, at the federal level. And it was mainly related to the oppression and tyranny that was being inflicted upon our precious animals, which is why I've been standing up and speaking out against these unnecessary cocktails that they want to give to your animals. And I've got several videos about that under my playlist called Rabies. But my goal is to help educate you so that you can understand what your rights are and then make these decisions that make sense for you, and not to be coerced, intimidated, and pressured into doing these things just because the man in the white coat told you, or because your employer told you. Can you believe that I am still fighting for individuals who are being oppressed and tyrannized by their employers? Absolutely. It's 2025, and I still have private clients coming to me to help with their appeals against these employers that are insisting that their religious exemptions and their religious observance doesn't apply at the employment workplace. And it does. I call it the woke place, especially when they are pressuring and coercing and firing individuals because of their religious beliefs. And I wanted to set the stage there because what we're going to talk about is the simple fact that there is a private court. I don't even know how that is legal. There is a private court that hears cases brought by individuals that were harmed by the taking of these injectable products. Yes, I know that many of you don't like to use the word vaccine, especially when it is related to the cooties cocktail, because it probably is something altogether different, but I'm just going to use that word for convenience. I actually use the word cocktails. So there is this cocktail court, and the mere existence of a court where you can go and make your claim that you or a loved one was harmed by these products, that right there establishes a premise, dare I say, a fact, that these products are harmful. The Supreme Court has even ruled that these products are unavoidably unsafe. All right, how do you like them apples? Them are pretty rotten apples. So you probably know someone, I'll take a look at your comments at the end of this broadcast. You probably know someone that was harmed by taking these products. It's in the headlines. I mean, it's ubiquitous. So finally, there has been legislation that has been introduced in the legislature to hold these vaccine manufacturers responsible, just like any other manufacturer, a car manufacturer, a makeup manufacturer, a food manufacturer. As my friend and longtime advocate Laura Hayes has said, if there is just one suspected death of a faulty crib or some type of stroller or some product for an infant, that product is taken off the market immediately until an investigation is undertaken. And in the meantime, that manufacturer's reputation is harmed, most likely. But when we're talking about these products where there are millions of claims, yes, probably trillions, I'm going to say gazillions of claims, yet they're still on the market. There has been no recall of these products. Doesn't that rub you the wrong way? Even if you believe that they are necessary and safe and effective, as some of these would-be heroes want you to think, that doesn't trouble you? That the manufacturer isn't held to the same standard when it comes to vaccines as it is for other products? Isn't that fishy to anyone? Even if you want to take these, don't you think you should have the right to sue? Now, get this. My understanding is that this vaccine court, the private court, there is a limit of $250,000 on a claim. That's not going to go very far, especially when you're a parent of a now adult child who was harmed at the age of 2 at the well baby visit, who now still is operating at the age of 2 or 5 and has to have around the clock care, not to mention all of the other things that go along with having an adult infant. No amount of money, you could put several zeros after that, no amount of money is going to equal the value of that potential, of the life and the potential that was robbed. So this is what is so dastardly and so deeply distressing to so many of us. And what I'm going to share with you is a really well-written summary. Let me just show you where this comes from so that you can also subscribe to this free newsletter. This is from Kindness and Science in Action. And I will have a link for you in the description box below and also on my Substack, which is peggyhall.substack.com. So here's my friend Britt Lind, and she is a published writer. She is a longtime advocate and activist. And I am going to read this to you. And we're also going to talk about a quick action, 2 quick actions that you can take for the animals as well. So the article starts out saying, with a little bit of background, by the mid-1980s, vaccine companies were overwhelmed with lawsuits brought by vaccine victims. Okay, YouTube, just want to let you know this is a fact in case you want to fact check me or strike the video. Check it out. This is a fact that these companies were overwhelmed with lawsuits brought by the victims of these cocktails. These companies were afraid that the lawsuits would drive them out of business. So they went to Congress and they lobbied politicians to pass the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act of 1986. This was signed into law. Here's my commentary. Signed into law by President Reagan. There is a movie called The Act, which is something that I saw a couple of years ago. It's had some mixed reviews, but it does kind of bring to life what was going on in the 80s. And it's a little troubling to me that some people that are considered to be anti-vax, or how do I put it, pro-education, they were behind the writing of this bill. And they tried to backpedal saying, oh, it was all manipulated. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But it is troubling to me when you dig into the history. And I'll just leave it at that. And you can dig in if you like. So it's the Childhood Vaccine Injury Act of 1986, which forbids the vaccine injured people to sue the vaccine companies in the regular court system. And instead, it forced them to seek their redress in a vaccine court where people had to jump over so many hurdles in order to be heard that most people, the cases were not even tried. Nevertheless, and here's the number, over 4.9 billion with a B dollars had been awarded to the vaccine damaged people who did manage to overcome the barriers that the Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Justice put up at the vaccine court. Now, here's my commentary again, then we'll get back to her newsletter. Many people have been critical of Bob Kennedy because he did not, with the sweep of his pen or the sweep of Trump's pen, all of the presidential actions that he likes to just inflict upon us, he hasn't signed this to waive that court or to demolish it or diminish it or to doge it. It's still in existence. So luckily, there is some legislative action going. And what I'm going to focus on is this bill in the House of Representatives. So this is the government putting up the barriers. And most people, like myself, believe that a step in the right direction is to eliminate and repeal that Childhood Vaccine Injury Act of 1986. It sounds great, doesn't it? Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, just like the Genius Act and the One Big Beautiful Bill. Yeah, it's not so beautiful once you dig into it in many ways. So let me go back to the newsletter. Vaccine makers received even more protection from their political friends when Congress passed the Public Readiness and Emergency Preparedness Act of 2005. You probably know this one. It's called the PERP Act. Oh, excuse me. I thought it was called the PERP Act because they're perpetrating these crimes upon us. It's called the PrEP Act. Yes, everything's so nice with these names, like the Patriot Act, which took away our freedoms. Yes, it was very unpatriotic. And the Unaffordable Care Act, I think that's how that was titled as well. So, the Inflation Reduction Act, I forgot that one. It drove up inflation. So whatever they say, just turn it around because the evildoers, the public serpents, love to invert the truth. So the PrEP Act was really the PERP Act perpetrated upon us. And again, Bob could just like get rid of this with the stroke of a pen. Why doesn't he? Many of us ask, and many of us know, because some would say he may be serving the very masters that we are fighting. It certainly looks like that, doesn't it? So this act came in handy after pharma invented, I got to be careful how I read this, the imaginary cooties manufactured by the hogwash, and pharma and the government forced and intimidated and persuaded and coerced millions of people into allowing themselves to be injected with the cooties cocktail. So in 2024, Brandon at the time extended this liability shield to include the cooties cocktails through the end of 2029. Why in the non-spinning world would it go that long? It doesn't even make sense. The logical question, Britt writes, any person with a modicum of common sense would ask is, if these products are so great, why do vaccine companies need special protection from lawsuits that no other industry receives? Excuse me, I want to share this with you now because here is the picture. I think this is incredible. A dose of deviltry. And look at, here's the, kind of the devil sign right there. Trust us. The big pharma has 0% risk and the person receiving the product, 100% risk. There are lots of memes out there like this. And one of them, somebody was getting like their third or fourth booster. And they said, is this very effective? And yes, it's very effective in increasing the profits of the pharmaceutical company. That's exactly what it does. So there were congressional hearings 2 weeks ago that some would say, this is my commentary, some would say we're another dog and pony show and really didn't go anywhere fast. Others would say, and I tend to agree with them, that at least it brought more of this out into the forefront, kind of like what we're seeing with the chemtrail bills. Is that going to go anywhere? Who knows? We don't want it to be turned on to us saying that it's our vehicles that are causing the pollution in the skies and that it's the regular commercial flights that are causing all of the spraying in the skies. Therefore, you shouldn't be able to fly if you can drive somewhere under 250 miles, taking away more of our freedom. Oh, by the way, I should show, I don't have it on me. I'll cover some chemtrails coming up in an upcoming video because I took a picture just a couple of days ago and there was one lone spray in the sky that over time spread. So I ask you this. If this came from commercial jets, you're telling me only one plane flew out of Palm Beach International Airport? Only one plane flew that day. Very interesting. Yeah. Okay, let me get back on track here. So there's a lot that's being done with these introduction of bills that may go nowhere fast. And it may be a palliative measure to just calm us down to say, yay, there's legislation that's been introduced. Now, I don't want to be that jaded. I kind of am, but I also want to hold out some hope. So that's why I'm going to give you an action step if you would like to take it. So let me get back to Britt's newsletter. The congressional hearings 2 weeks ago that exposed the harm inflicted on the public by these cocktails was eye-opening for many members of Congress. And now Representative Paul Gosar of Arizona has reintroduced the End the Vaccine Carve-Out Act. And that is this HR Bill 4668, which would allow the vaccine injured people to sue the vaccine manufacturers normally in open court and remove the statute of limitations for those seeking compensation under that other private court. Now, there was another senator, Bernie Moreno, a Republican from Ohio, told witnesses at the vaccine hearing the government has decided that this particular industry gets a free pass and it's time for that to end. Now, let me interrupt the newsletter and give you another piece of commentary. Something else that needs to be eradicated that I never, probably you never have heard Bob speak about. And that is the fact that his uncle, who he reveres, and he always talks about having the Kennedy DNA, why you want to claim the Kennedy DNA when you look deeply into the family. I don't think that's something you really want to claim. Nonetheless, there are plenty of books on that topic if you'd like to read more. And I've done some coverage on this channel before. But the point is that his highly revered uncle, JFK, is the one who signed into law and was heavily supportive of the government, your tax dollars taken from you and given to states, cities, and counties and schools to pay for children to become human pincushions in order to attend school. Now, this was rolled out in the early 60s, 1961. I believe it was signed, probably came into law in 1962, something like that, came in, was being enforced. To this day, the government spends billions of dollars, probably gazillions of dollars of your money and mine, and the money that they print out of thin air to give to the states and the counties and the schools to get the children poked. How do you like them apples? Why doesn't Bob get rid of that? That would be a huge step in the right direction. You get rid of the funding, and then where does the money come from? And then where do the shots come from? So I'd like to see that repealed as well. And that was called the Vaccine Assistance Act, I think of 1961. It might have been 1962. So he was all in favor of it. And that's in the Kennedy DNA as well. All right, back to the newsletter. The government the law would be a game changer for the victims of these companies. Since 1986, these companies have felt free to inundate the public with these products that they know will harm and kill people because they will not be held legally accountable. They have made billions of dollars worry-free on these toxic products that do not protect what they tell us they protect. And in fact, they destroy people's health. And you know that. I'm going to take a look at your comments because most everyone knows someone that was harmed, maybe even you yourself. The government has no constitutional rights, as they did during the cooties hogwash, those are my words, to attempt to force harmful chemicals into the bodies of millions of Americans. But using fear and intimidation through the pharma-owned media, countless individuals were harmed, injured, and killed by these products. This bill gives the victims and their families the power to fight back against the greed and cruelty of these companies. So we're talking about the harms of 2020 and forward. More and more people are waking up to that. I'm glad to see. I also wanted to mention that it's troubling to me that the government is involved in this in any way, shape, or form anyway. Why should the government use our money to fund the creation of these products? Why should the government recommend these products through the CDC and the FDA? Why is it even their business at all? This should be your own private choice and have nothing to do with the government or your employer. So this bill has 28 sponsors and maybe even more now as of this broadcast. So here's what Britt recommends, that you contact your representative in Congress and ask them to sponsor and vote for this bill. So I'll have a link for you where you can find your representative. And I know, I can hear the comments, even though they're typewritten. I can hear the comments where people are saying, there you go again, Peggy, this action means nothing. Our name is going to go on some kind of list. All right, don't do it then. Don't do it. But there are those who want to take action. Here's something that you can do. And she's got a sample letter that says, I'm asking you to sponsor and vote for this bill. that will finally restore our right as American citizens to fight for justice in our civil court system against these companies that have caused harm and death. So it goes on. I'll leave that for you, and you can copy it. And then what's happening right now is this bill, as far as I can see, has not yet had a hearing, which means it's just sitting there. It's been introduced. And maybe, again, that's to calm people down, to say, oh, yay, something is happening. But I think if plenty of us, enough of us, do make some noise about it, which is why I'm covering this for you, then I would love to see that moved ahead. Always with maintaining our vigilance and our diligence to make sure that that's not going to be used against us. All right. The next thing I wanted to share with you, I told you I'd have 2 little animal stories for you. And this is also from Britt. And she has been fighting. She's a huge animal advocate, and she has been fighting here for Billy and Tina, who are sadly captive elephants, that there is a huge push to get them released to a sanctuary. So you can make phone calls. This is in the city of Los Angeles, which trust me, I know how bad that is. But again, if we can embarrass those public serpents and get these animals out of their captivity and into a sanctuary, that would be amazing. So the phone number here is 213-473-7008. And that is where you can make a phone call to the incoming council member and say, put this on the floor so that the city council can vote to send these poor animals to a sanctuary. And I will have, you can go to kindnessandscience.org. I highly recommend that you check that out, especially for my vegan healthy Americans. You are going to love all of the work that they do. Now, the other thing I wanted to share with you, speaking of animals, so many of you emailed me following the broadcast that I did last week about this sweet little puppy that is now a year old. I'm going to share that picture in a moment. So this little dog was hit by a car, had to have a repaired hernia, and a healthy American scooped this little one off the street, paid for the surgery, and you can see how precious this little pup is. And I spoke to you about him because he's in Mexico, but the good news, here he is, Chente. He's about a year old and a survivor, and she is looking for a home. Now, I know there are so many animals that need homes, and it's overwhelming. And I have had people reach out to me, and I've done my best to try to network. But I wanted to bring you an update about Chente because he is now going to be in San Diego. She is going to travel with him out of Mexico, hopefully using some of my techniques and strategies for the paperwork, if you know what I'm talking about. So if someone is interested in getting a clean dog that has not been impacted by all of the interventions, shall I say, that most of these animals are going through, even with rescue groups that are doing their best to save animals' lives, they still are pushing these other protocols that, as I have spoken about frequently, I'm not 100% in favor of. So if you are someone in the San Diego area or even in California or willing to go there or to travel, or you know someone, please help us spread the word about this sweet boy. And I have a special place in my heart for him, given that he went through these surgeries. He's a survivor, and I know that there is the right home out there for him. You can email support@thehealthyamerican.org, and that is where we can connect you with Jocelyn, who is taking care of this boy right now. I also wanted to take a look at your comments, and there I am, and there you are. And thank you, everybody, for being on board. We've got our moderators that are always keeping the stream flowing. And okay, looking to see, oh dear. Country Mickey said that her mother went downhill after the jab. She held on for almost a year. I am so sorry to hear of that tragic demise. This is why I do this work, friends. Rain says they also should be held liable for giving the YMCA, as I call it, and the GMOs without consent. You're absolutely right. Okay, people are asking about these funny little crowns and numbers. I have no idea what that is. I have no idea. I don't know, something that YouTube is doing, very strange. Noah Michael says, never will anyone in big pharma or big brother be held accountable. That seems like that's what history has shown us. It would be wonderful if we could switch that. Okay, Rhonda tells us the mystery of the crowns. They have to do with chat and indicates their cumulative engagement. I don't like that. I don't like that our chat is being tracked by AI. I don't know. Do you like it? I guess they're trying to want us to get more engaged or something. Noah says, where's my crown? Oh, you can turn it off in privacy settings. Thank you, Rhonda. I knew that you would know that. Noah says the PrEP Act should be called the PERV Act. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's too funny. Friends, I want to thank all of you for being on board. Thank you, Todd. He says, I so admire all Peggy does. I've come and gone since 2020. Good to see you, Todd. Always to return to what I call the voice of reason. And I'm going to point Todd out because he paid the price of standing strong and having to make some changes at the job. I'll just put it that way. But he educated himself. He stood strong. He educated others. And that takes a lot of perseverance. And I really appreciate that. Robert, hey, Robert's in the house. Robert Brame, our fire and forensic arborist. Hopefully things are calm and we'll have to get you back on when they start inflicting the fires again. Friends, I'm so grateful to have you on board. Hey, Meg, God bless you as well. Kathy has been on board quite a bit. And Silent Walk spells it pharmacy, PH, capital HARM, as you can see here. That's basically what it is like. Okay, Richard said, I'm having a baby in November. I think probably he means his wife is having a baby in November, uneasy about the regimen. Any advice? Yes, go to, if someone would type this in here, physiciansforinformedconsent.org, Physicians for Informed Consent. Click through their education and you're going to get all of the information, just very not emotional and ranting like I am, but very cut and dried information about every single shot, what's in it, what the disease, how deadly the disease is that it's supposed to prevent, and most importantly, why you don't need those because of all of the other side effects that are far more harmful. And then I also want you to go to Age of Autism, I think it's .org, and go back and watch my other videos as well, because I have plenty of links all about that. Congratulations. I applaud the fact that you want to learn and that you're not just going to go in blind and have the doctor coerce you. My opinion, and probably not an opinion, but a fact, God didn't make mistakes. There are reasons why these conditions, we go through these conditions, I believe, as children. I had the measles, I had the mumps, I had the chicken pox. I'm still ticking. And yeah, I would be considered an elder in our culture. I'll just put it that way. I got a birthday coming up in a month, and I'm an elder. Years ago, when I was in my 50s, somebody tried to give me a senior discount, and I was so upset. Is that funny? I'm like, excuse me, I'm not a senior citizen. I'm a junior citizen. Well, officially, I'm a senior citizen. You know what? Bring on the discounts. I'm happy with that. All right, friends. The point I'm making is you can still be healthy and vibrant at any age. I think every age has its beauty. And I would not be so concerned about those childhood conditions that the naysayers and the flu mongerers are trying to bother you with and, create a lot of fear. That's so sad. It's literally preying on the vulnerable. I mean, imagine a vulnerable infant and the parents wanting to do the best for this new life. So thank you for caring about that. Thank you for being educated. Anyone else that knows, drop some comments in the chat there. And then also, Richard, I've got a Substack, peggyhall.substack.com. You go there, you click on resources, and there are plenty of things there for you to learn about these products. All right, friends, that's it for today. Always fun to be on a live stream. I've got lots of things that I want to cover with you coming up. There's crazy, weird stuff happening in the city of San Diego. And even if you don't live in the city of San Diego or in California, you're going to want to know about this. More RFID tracking, and you're not going to believe what they're tracking now. I'm going to cover that in a few days. And I've got to talk about Bob being on vacation. He said that this approval was passed while he was on vacation. Wait a minute. He only came on the job like in February. He got a vacation already? Did you get a vacation like in your first 5 months of being on the job? Or do you think this is a cover story? It doesn't pan out either way. I'm always catching him, right? He's either lying to you now or he lied to you then. And either way, you should be responsible for your employees and the trillions of dollars of programs that you oversee. Yes, Health and Human Services, the largest department in the United States federal government, and the EPA is under there, and the FDA and the CDC. And yeah, he better keep his eyes open. And what's with these vacations? I'm the only one talking about that. And he's being sued by Children's Health Defense, the organization that he helped become a multi-million-dollar nonprofit, while he was making some of those millions of dollars with his salary, because don't you know he needs it. And I don't begrudge people making money, but when you're running a nonprofit and you're in the Kennedy DNA, do you really need to be making $500,000 a year? All right, just asking. Maybe I'm exaggerating. Anyway, there's lots of weird stuff going on about that. And you know that I will be covering it. All right, friends, have a great evening. Thank you for being on board. And I just wanted to have to comment with Richard once more. Richard, I really appreciate your following up. He said that he's going through all the options. It's an uphill battle to talk about it. Here's my advice. It's 3 words, and I hope you'll take the advice. Delay, delay, delay. All right, that's my best strategy. The battle, unfortunately, causes the two parties to become entrenched in their positions. I've got a ton of videos on this channel on a playlist called Encouragement. And I've got how to stand your ground without losing your ground, how to speak your mind without losing your mind. And it's exactly how to have the conversations when you've got a difference of opinion. The more you push, the more she's going to become entrenched, has been my experience. So what you do is you say, let's delay. We can always get the shots down the road until we learn more. And I would highly encourage, if, ideally this is a woman you're going to raise a family with, so you see things eye to eye in some ways, and she's reasonable. So you'd have her watch a video by Laura Hayes from The Age of Autism. And I think it's called Why Is This Even Legal? And just listen. And you can see pictures of children that got these jabs at the age of 2 or younger, and they're still children, even though they're now 22. So delay. And none of it has to be done immediately. And so that is my best advice. All right. Caitlin says she's got clean blood. She's 60 and feels like 40. You and me both. I don't even go by age. I just, every age has its beauty. And there we go. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. I really appreciate you. Thank you for the comments encouraging Richard as well. I love our Healthy Americans. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I have the best audience on YouTube. Smart, savvy, sophisticated, and supportive, and that little bit snarky sometimes from time to time, just how I like it. The live streams I get snarky sometimes. It wasn't so bad today. Wait till I start talking about Bob. The snark might come out a little more. Okay, friends, that's it. The Florida goodbye. And I'll see you in tomorrow's broadcast. Remember, Monday through Thursday, it's 5 p.m. Pacific, 8